The zoning ordinance, when I'm saying that I'm applying a practical application based upon what's warranted and not warranted. It's not necessary.
Now, the one thing that hasn't come up in this discussion tonight is that there's still an outstanding comment from PennDOT that they did offer an opinion that, if I recall their last formal review letter, that West Pleasant Grove Road should be widened to provide dual back-to-back left turn lanes to accommodate the section. That, to the best of my knowledge, that has not been resolved. So I would suggest that this would also address a concern that PennDOT has about potential queuing back onto 202.
So while we may still need to do some work in coordinating with PennDOT, our traffic analysis very clearly shows that we are hundreds of feet from any concern about backing up queues towards 202. So we do believe that that will be fully resolved, but as demonstrated in the traffic analysis, there's nothing that shows anywhere near any concern about that type of condition.
No.
Steve, you have any comment?
Is it on now? Okay. Al, this week, I know we've kind of beat this to death here, but you had made a comment about potentially moving this. Got that better? Okay. Made a comment about the possibility of moving this further to the east. Okay. Could you, they just kind of stated their case on this, could you state your case? And what impact would that have on adjacent properties?
Are we all, okay. It could be, if the church was cooperative, it could be shifted to the east. And basically just along the current alignment so it does not impact the Arborview property. But I would not disagree with Greg's statement that that would require land that Toll at this point does not control. As we've seen in other aspects where they believe they've been required to, they have reached out to adjacent property owners at different levels of engagement. So based on the preliminary conversations I had with one person, I'm not going to claim this was a decision by the church, but there seemed to be at least some willingness to cooperate.
And that would, I guess, primarily just impact the parking lot?
It would impact their westernmost driveway. And depending on how far you shift it, it may not actually impact any parking.
Okay. And one other question, this was related to the 926 and South New Street intersection. So the possibility of moving this sort of instead of onto this back property and taking that to potentially move it north. And if I understand correctly, what's restricting that at this point is the historic home, correct?
In the north,
and a deep ravine, is that right?
The northwestern corner, there's a home that's real close to a large tree. They're very close to the right of way.
Is that a historic home? Or?
That's our understanding, but regardless, it's a house right there.
Right. And so there's no way to steal any property of it.
And as Toll's committed to purchasing the southern rights of way, if the northern rights of way would work, they would do that. But it's our understanding that PennDOT wouldn't accept that, and that what they would require is whatever improvements you can make in the right of way. And that's what we've heard back from PennDOT at this point. There's been no formal ruling, but that's been their direction because they want us to try to acquire the southern rights of way at this point. So, right, so as I had stated, I think Al stated, you don't know what PennDOT's going to do next once you come back and everyone makes the final conclusion that the southern right of way can't be acquired. But that's kind of where we are.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Hendrick. based on the analysis of the alternative plan, in your letter, as modified, you've indicated that you feel that the applicant has not demonstrated compliance with the conditional use criteria. Based on the discussion that we had, is that still your conclusion?
At the moment, based on the materials they've submitted, I would agree with that they have not. But I would offer that the list of items that they've yet to demonstrate is much smaller than we've been at in previous hearings.
How do you have a view about what will happen if the applicant is unable to obtain the additional right-of-way or easements that are required for the intersection of New Street and Route 926?
The result of that, it takes two paths depending on how this analysis plays out. If it is determined through the revised analysis that it is an impact that warrants mitigation, then PennDOT may follow the same path that we discussed at 202 and Skiles, and if nothing is feasible at this intersection, require some other type of improvement as part of an alternate transportation plan. If ultimately the analysis shows that, well, this is a good thing, it is not attributable to this project, and they demonstrate that they've made every reasonable effort to do this and it can't be done, then PennDOT may just let it go.
May what? Excuse me.
Just let it go.
Let it go. Okay. How will an alternative transportation effect be useful to the intersection of 926 and New Street if it has to be implemented someplace else?
It would not directly. This is something PennDOT updated. When PennDOT updated their traffic study guidelines several years ago, there was a level of frustration in the department that there were areas where they were looking to get improvements done, and people would say, there is this feature here, we can't do anything, throw up their hands and walk away. So they created this process to at least get some benefit within the area, but it may not explicitly assist this intersection. That's the point. If there's a way for them to do something to improve this intersection, that will need to be exhausted, that investigation. But if it's determined that they have an impact here and there is no feasible way for them to do this, then they will look for this alternate to try to at least get some comparable level of improvement in the area.
Define the area. What do you mean by that? Is it around the site? Is it further down 202?
It is loosely defined in the guidelines, but it's within the immediate proximity of the project.
In PennDOT right?
Not necessarily. There have been alternate transportation projects that have involved, trail or some other transportation element. I think was the Haverford YMCA. Was that one where they did an ATP involving trail work? But I think PennDOT's preference would be some sort of capacity-related improvement within the area.
Typically, they look in the corridor, whichever corridor that is, 202 or 926.
Al, does the transportation impact study deal with anything other than traffic congestion or traffic volumes?
To an extent, it deals with sight distance at the accesses. It does deal with non-vehicular mobility.
Does the impact study deal with any aspect of environmental impact associated with the anticipated increased traffic?
I don't believe so, no.
I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
So the intersection improvements at Route 926 and 202, I know that your traffic impact study says you don't have any impact on that intersection. But does it assume that the intersection is being improved by PennDOT?
It does not. We evaluated it exclusive of PennDOT's improvements. We have no impact at the intersection. And then for informational purposes, we provided a separate analysis so that the township could understand how it would function with PennDOT's improvements. But our assessment of development impact does not include PennDOT's improvements.
So, given that COVID is going on, and then the past time we had a meeting, I think we updated, or maybe Al had said that from the PennDOT meeting, they said this is a project that's going to happen 2021. I mean, what happens if that doesn't happen? What happens if PennDOT says, sorry, we don't have any more money, we're not doing this intersection improvement? Does that impact any of your conclusions at all? And
we have no impact, so we don't even need to take account for those improvements to mitigate because we don't have any impact to start with.
is Toll fully committed to doing the partial roundabout? I understand your position that you don't need to do it, but are you willing to do that partial roundabout? The partial one.
The mini?
The mini, sorry.
Yes.
And with that, there's some coordination that would be needed with the church in terms of access, driveways, that you'd be willing to work with them?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, there's one there. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Now, the public gets to speak regarding traffic and what you've just heard for the last roughly 1 hour. If you have questions, please come up to the microphone. There's distancing squares for you to safely do. Please speak slowly and tell us your name, your address, and your question.
Hi, John Gillian, 1164 Lake Drive, Westchester. I have a couple of questions. Was the traffic signal at Birmingham ever discussed as being coordinated along with the ones at New Street and the new Collector Road? Is there any reason not to coordinate that since it's within a quarter mile of the
When the study was scoped, that intersection was not included as part of the scope of study that was required for this project.
Okay. Question 2. Currently, 926 and New Street and 202 is the only way you can access northbound 202. Now, am I correct in assuming that you're saying a remedy for that now would be to go through the Collector Road up Orvis 2 Styles and then turn north on 202?
That is correct, and that is in keeping with the township's vision as laid out in the comprehensive plan.
Is that road going to be made usable for multi-ton, multi-axle vehicles, buses?
Yes.
Okay, has a noise study been done? Because the people living right along that road are going to be unhappy. But that's just an opinion, so okay, thank you.
There's no dwellings right on Connector Road.
I'm going to look at the Connector Road where it goes literally to the back and sides of townhouses on either
Nobody
side.
fronts on it, that's what I'm saying, nobody fronts on it. Nobody gets their driveway access from it.
All right, how about the little documents place that was opened up on Orvis, is that going to be an issue?
That was approved, the road was approved as part of that development. They needed that road.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this has been with the folks for a while.
Phil Jones, 1007 Jennifer Lane. I am a party to this. First of all, just one quick statement. I find it insulting to be told repeatedly to the West Town residents and me that there is no traffic impact on this project. It's just ridiculous. Secondly, I think, I'm not sure what the recommendations that are being made for the improvements to the intersections, will help mitigate some of the traffic impact that we're seeing come about, and that's why they've been considered, I assume. And if they can't be made, can the recommendation of the Planning Commission be to the board not to accept this based on the conditional approval? Is that something that can be done?
Well, that's what, one of the questions that,
So if we can't acquire the land, we can't do whatever it is, if we can't improve those intersections.
So two things. So there's a specific conditional use standard in 2009 of the ordinance, section 2009, that deals with traffic. And that's the question that Jack asked Al. In Al's professional opinion, do they meet that specific traffic standard? And Al's latest letter of July 6th concludes that they still don't meet that specific standard. If they come back with additional information and can satisfy Al's comments, maybe they meet that standard according to Al as a traffic expert. People have to understand though, and this was a point that was made by the Commonwealth Court in the first conditional use decision. Although they affirmed the denial by the board, they did reverse on one specific comment, and that was intersections that are controlled by PennDOT, the township cannot impose conditions with respect to what has to happen at those intersections. The Board of Supervisors does not have jurisdiction to tell PennDOT or to tell Toll, you have to make these improvements to PennDOT intersections. That solely is in the hands of PennDOT, and the Commonwealth Court made that point clear to the board in their decision. So, yes, a lot of these intersection improvements are being discussed and plans are being shown, and it's because they need to do that to get PennDOT permits, and in their opinion, some of those improvements need to be done to meet this conditional use criteria. So it's a little complex, but
Okay,
I hope that helps.
that helps a little bit. The other comment I have is, in front of Stetson School, I don't know whether you can put that improvement that was being suggested there, where 202 and Stetson School intersect. When you currently make an attempt to turn left, coming to go north on 202 from Stetson School, it's already a disaster zone. When school is in and people are trying to come in and out, and buses are trying to come in, you can't even approach. If you're coming up the new, where they made that new connector up to the, in front of the Ducklings Daycare. When you come up there and you want to try to make a right, the people coming out of Stetson School say you can't even get there, and the light's not long enough. People back up, they end up driving down, trying to go straight and turning and trying to enter 202 up by the township building. I mean, it is a disaster as it is. And if you start putting more traffic through the connector road into that spot, it's just, it's a bad situation. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Okay, Ann Helian, 1164 Lake Drive, Westchester. I want to come back to the New Street synchronization of lights, 202 New Street in Birmingham. Currently, at peak times, the Birmingham filtering into the 926 traffic. The backup from Birmingham going toward Creek Road at peak times can be 25 to 30 cars per light. That doesn't count the feeding in from Birmingham Road coming from the Lafayette Cemetery side or the other side. If there's no synchronization, the backup onto 926 leading up to New Street is still going to be a parking lot. Lake Drive fronts right onto that. You cannot get on there in the morning or come off it at peak time in the afternoon without a tremendous backup. I think you need to relook at the synchronization of the light of Birmingham and the light of 202. That's one. The other is, on 926, what will the lanes look like where the connector road meets it? Because right now it's a two-lane road. In order to make a left onto the collector road, does that mean at that point the road is widened, and you have not mentioned that yet?
Yes, I did mention it, but we didn't have a graphic showing it, so I'm happy to review that again. The new intersection on 926 with the collector road will be signalized, and it will provide a dedicated left turn lane and a dedicated right turn lane along 926. So
will that become a four-lane area on 926?
correct, one lane in each direction with turning lanes.
So we're going to go from the light on New Street, 2 lanes, then on to 4, then back to 2, on to 202. Do I have that right?
It isn't 2 lanes at 202. You have multiple turn lanes, and PennDOT will be widening.
Just short of that, then. I can split hairs too. Just short of that, it will be 2 lanes, then leading on to the left, the right, and the center lanes. I got that. So there's going to be a light at New Street, a light at the collector road, and a light at 202.
Correct.
Plus the light at Birmingham.
Correct, and that's required by PennDOT.
Are you all seeing the picture here for people that actually live there? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christine Lisi from Westtown Township at 915 Shady Grove Way. Before I ask my question, I just want to echo the sentiment of the gentleman before me that there is no question if this is going to cause an impact. Every single person that lives in this region knows it's going to be an impact. I think our challenge is because 926 and 202 are not run by the township, they're state roads, and PennDOT has already given them an F rating. You know, in a sense, we're screwed if this goes through. I would like to encourage every single person in this audience to contact PennDOT. You just have to Google Department of Transportation, Pennsylvania government, because I can assure you, Toll Brothers knows everyone that works there. And we have to get vocal with PennDOT. They're not going to do anything. Okay. My question is, are the 2 homes at 926 and New Street historical homes? So doesn't it compromise the integrity of the structure of the home if the road gets within, say, 6 feet of the house? Because both of those homes are so close to 926. I don't see how it can be done safely for the home's structure.
That was the issue that the Spackman Trust has raised as to why they're not willing to grant the right of way. So, and they haven't done the evaluation on the other side, the north side, because of, I think, that reason, and I think that house is even closer to the intersection.
But Kristen, we have the house on the other side is even closer.
It is. In its existing state, it's so much closer to the center of the intersection where the most significant widening needs to occur, as opposed to the home on the south side is much further away from the intersection at least, so the widening starts to taper back. So there would be more impact, meaning the road closer to the home on the north side.
And I just want to ask the Planning Commission, because I know this is our last meeting, and I know we've been doing this for years at this point, but I would really like the conditional uses, or the conditions that were placed on the last application to be really looked at for this application as well, because I think Toll Brothers has done a great job on glossing this version, and there are some improvements compared to the first application, but the problem is 317 homes on that lot of land, that cluster development is a huge strain on the townships and Westchester's resources. From the school district to our emergency services, everything, it's not just the roads. So I'm asking the Planning Commission to please really look at every single previous condition that was placed on the last one, because this really isn't different. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kevin Manieri. I live at 672 Militia Hill Drive. For those of you that don't know, that's in Thornbury Township. So if you continue south on New Street across 926, I'm about a half a mile up in that first development on the left. So I deal with this intersection every day of my life, almost. Now I'm retired, so I don't. So I have an informational question. So I'm looking at the access road you're talking about, this collector road. That's currently where that little right turn is, where the pond is, right? Somewhere in there is where the collector road will be?
It's across from Bridlewood Boulevard on 926.
Okay, so you're going to have a collector road there. So when you do these assessments, so you've got 320 homes there, right? So when you do an analysis, you go, okay, that's 320 homes times 1.5 cars per home that are going to be dumping onto these roads during rush hour and converging back at the end of the day. Is that how you look at it? Because I'm trying to figure out how 450 cars are going to get out of that development onto West Pleasant Road or come out on the collector road to head up to that intersection which is already backed up for forever when you get up to 202 and 926.
So we are required to collect existing volumes, project them into the future, and layer on the development traffic based on industry trip generation data that is prescribed by PennDOT. So it has very specific trip generating characteristics for the development that we apply, and then layer on that additional development traffic and assess its impacts to all of the study intersections.
So do you have a back of the napkin guesstimate on how many of those cars are going to be exiting out to 202 and the main access roads off West Pleasant Road?
It's not a back of the napkin estimate, it's all very detailed, laid out in the traffic study.
How many is it? If there's 450 cars roughly.
Your 450 cars is not the calculation. We are prescribed very specific numbers that we have to use, and we have to layer all of that traffic onto the site accesses and study intersections. So it's a very detailed process, very mathematical.
Then let me have a percentage. What percentage of the cars do you envision exiting out West Pleasant Grove Road in the morning versus out 926 to 202? I'm really struggling with figuring how there's not a traffic impact to it. And I find it even, I don't know, I'm not.
So all of these details have been approved. There's no outstanding comments from PennDOT or the township's traffic engineer. I'm more than happy to pull up and give you some of the statistics from the study, but I do want to reference that. And the study is available online on the Planning Commission's website.
That's good to know. Okay, so if you can go back to the other slide that shows the roundabout, this is my last question. So let's say a large percentage of the cars are going out that way. What would be, if there were no considerations about having to encroach on other people's lands and no environmental impact? Based on that volume, what would be the ideal solution? Would it be a small roundabout, a big roundabout, would it be a stop sign?
A stop sign.
So
That's a big thing.
a percentage of cars...
From an operations and maintenance perspective, a stop sign is adequate.
Now I'm talking about for maximizing traffic flow.
A stop sign. To maximize traffic flow along West Pleasant Grove Road, stop control on the collector road approach.
Okay, so if I have, let's say, half the cars, 225 cars going out that way in the morning, they're going to be regulated by a stop sign and entering onto West Pleasant Grove Road.
Correct, which the far majority is right turn traffic versus left. Yep.
The traffic study is literally this thick, which is why I don't bring it with me. But everything that's been presented by the applicant as well as the So I went the first time tonight, I went onto the website, it's all there, and it's very nicely laid out in chronological order. So if you want to read all the details, you can spend hours and hours and hours and hours, but it is there, so.
Steve Simonov, 1183 Tower Course, Westchester. A couple of points. The previous gentleman, my back-to-back estimate's going to be 320 homes, at least 2 cars at home, at least 650 cars, school buses, Amazon delivery vans. That's an absolute minimum. Currently, it's at about rush hour going south. Traffic stops at West Town Road, and it's uninterrupted all the way past Route 1. It's almost as bad the other way. All that's going to happen is, regardless of where these collector roads are, people will cut through everyone else's neighborhoods to avoid 202 and not 26. How much time and effort has been spent on studying traffic flows through, I know Pleasant Grove and I know Cheney Road at rush hour, there's all kinds of out-of-state tags for people who are working in King of Prussia that live in Delaware and New Jersey. That's, to me, it's going to be at least as much traffic that you'll see in a roundabout on one road as everyone avoiding 202 and avoiding 926 and simply cutting through the residential neighborhoods that we have, which are already heavily traveled. Has any thought been given to that?
Yes.
And insignificant because they're saying there's no material increase in traffic.
So just to clarify something, when Nicole uses the term, there is no impact, a fuller statement may be, the impact will not be to a level that warrants mitigation. There is going to be more traffic, as I think she has acknowledged in previous meetings. They are doing some things, and this collector road has actually been on the township comprehensive plan for starting over 20 years now, which is considered a means to provide the residents on the east side of the town a way to get north and south without going on to 202 or New Street. To your specific question, if you look back at the last round of recommendations the Planning Commission made in some of the discussions, there has been talk about the potential impacts to cut-through traffic or other traffic. And in the past, there have been some recommendations about possibly implementing traffic calming on some of these roads. Depending on which roads we're talking about, Cole has at some point acknowledged the willingness to talk about it further, and others not. I think that's a fair statement that I'll let them. And I apologize, were there people that didn't hear that, and do I need to repeat that all again?
Well, one of the cut-through roads that was going to be involved was Bridlewood Boulevard, but Thornbury Township has expressed an unwillingness to allow the traffic coming south or north at the intersection of the Collector Road and Bridlewood to continue through Bridlewood. So Thornbury is going to close it off. One of the things that Toll had said they'd be willing to explore was additional traffic calming measures if necessary along that roadway, but Thornbury's not going to allow the collector traffic to continue through that neighborhood.
It's not just one road, and this is not going to be the end of development. This is the end of development for Toll Brothers for one development. In the next 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 years, God knows how many more developments will go up. I mean, take that into consideration. It's not just right now. Multiply that by 20 or 30%. And also, you know, everyone has a cell phone, everyone has Waze. So whatever you put up there is nonsense. They're going to follow Waze and cut through everyone's neighborhood. So I'll leave it at that.
Cecilia Wright, 1151 Lake Drive. You have a lot of people in the audience from Lake Drive because it impacts the traffic. And being able to get out of that street safely is nearly impossible. I did call PennDOT, and I got just the same kind of runaround that we get from the building company that's going to build the development. It looks like they made some adjustments, so it'll probably go through. But I have this little hobby, so I stood at the corner of 926 and 202. And the last time I said I had done that, people sort of snickered, but I had only done it at the same time. So this time I decided I'm going to move it up a little bit. The traffic that is specifically on 926 at CVS, I stood right there at CVS, which is across the street from the registered house. Then I don't see how you'd get a bus around that and not hit the house, but maybe. There were 80 cars that went through one light. So one light. On that day, everybody was right up next to the other guy, 20 in each lane. First 40 went through. The next round, they went around, another 42, so 82, went through the light at great speed because you have to be able to sit on the guy's bumper to get through the light. I asked PennDOT to look at the speed of which their lights changed, and maybe that would impact it. So I drove down 926, and then where this connector road is going to come through, cars were still backed up. Excuse me, my mask keeps slipping. I'm not used to it yet. Traffic was still backed up past your light, bumper to bumper, and this was at 8:30 in the morning. So it starts at about 6 o'clock in the morning and probably ends about 9:15. It starts again about 2:30 in the afternoon and goes until 6:30 depending. Even with the COVID, everybody staying home, I thought, okay, I'm going out to CVS to see where all the cars are. There were cars, they were all at that same intersection. You won't even be able to get cars out when the light changes because they're all going to be backed up, hoping to get through. Two cars, let's get through right away. It is a serious problem.